This is a Crack House Chronicles production.
Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that's reminding everyone that the Amish lottery is up to 10 dozen eggs. It's Dale.
Hey, that's pretty good there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I no need to go get me a ticket.
Yeah, if you got eggs, man, you got gold.
They got wooden tickets, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they would. Carved out.
Yeah, man.
Carved out tickets.
That's a pretty good win there. You just make some cash off of that.
Oh, yeah, man. If you had 10 dozen eggs.
That's right.
Man, you got something.
You trade them for records.
You probably could. Probably would be a record.
Heck yeah.
What's going on today, dude?
You know it. Same old, same old.
Yeah, back in the Crack House doing an episode.
Back in the house.
What you got for us today? You got any good shout-outs?
Hey, look at there.
Man.
We have a brand new Apple Podcast 5-star review, and this comes from Haley McGee, which is cool. Haley McGee. Says, sounds like home. I'm an absolute true crime junkie. When I heard about this podcast from Cleveland County, where I was born and raised, I had to check it out, and I'm so glad I did. And we're so glad you did too, Haley McGee. We really appreciate that. Appreciate you taking the time to type a few letters in the box and let us know you give us the 5-star, because that is very important for us, and it does us a lot of good. So thanks so much for joining the fam.
It helps that algorithm, and people will find us quicker and helps us move up the charts a little bit.
Heck yeah. Just kind of like opened up your window and screaming out, check this podcast out.
Yeah. Scream to your neighbor and say, check this out.
You know it.
That's right. Man, if anybody else wants to be
like Haley McGee.
You
made a rhyme.
Yeah, be like Haley McGee.
You're a poet and didn't know it.
Yeah, you can go to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rate and review. You got to write something in the box, and we get a notification, and we give you a shout-out.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and you also can leave a 5-star on Spotify and write something about each episode. You just have to scroll up from the bottom on each episode, and you can write something about each episode if you want to.
If you want. Yeah,
that's
several
right.
people wrote some stuff in our Andy Tench episode, and a little update on that. They did have a little thing the other day, Donnie. What do you think?
That's right. Yeah, they had a thing this week. They went to court for the Andy Tench case. The Deshaun Robinson guy that's in jail, they were trying to get his bond, but it was denied.
It was.
So this guy's still sitting in jail.
So we got a little bit of a win on that case, so they're still doing their best down there.
Yeah, so we're still praying for that family, keeping them in our thoughts and prayers.
That's
and
right.
Hoping something will come of that and they can find Andy and get something resolved.
Get to the bottom of this, see what happened down there.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, we
good people, man.
We're thinking, oh yeah, very good people.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Dale, after this short break, man,
let's get
going on this episode.
Yeah.
All right, Dale, we are back.
We are back.
And, dude, we're going down to Georgia.
We are. Like the devil?
No. We're going down there we're going down to Georgia with an episode.
Oh, well, the devil went down to Georgia.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey.
You ain't got a golden fiddle?
But when it comes to that song right there, I believe the devil beat Johnny. I mean, I really do.
He cheated, though.
He really did.
He had a band of demons.
He did.
So he cheated.
Yeah, they're immortal.
He still lost.
They're immortal, so they can play anything. So I think the devil won that fiddle contest.
Johnny had some, chickens. He was, picking out dough.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell they do. Yeah. In the house eating the pie pan, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. But we are going down in that area of southern Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking today about a young lady at the time. Her name was Tara Grinstead.
I guess it's probably still her name.
Yeah. But she was born in Hawkinsville, Georgia on November the 14th of 1974.
Man, I always thought it was going to be like Stranger Things, but it's Hawkinsville, not Hawkins.
Hawkinsville, yeah. Georgia. And Dale, from an early age, Tara, she was involved in some beauty pageants.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, that was her thing. She was just wanting to do beauty pageants.
Mm-hmm.
And she was crowned Miss Tifton in 1999.
It was Miss Tifton.
I guess that's a town there in Georgia, and she was crowned that award for that beauty contest.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot, especially as she got older, she was trying to do this to raise money or get scholarships to go to school.
Yeah, that was her thing.
Stuff like that, yeah.
And she even made it to the Miss Georgia pageant.
Yeah, her goal. One of her goals was to make it to there. Well, I guess her goal was really to win it, but at least she did make it.
She did make the pageant.
Yes, she did.
She didn't win it, but she did get some money from being in that pageant.
Correct, too.
Yeah. And Tara's mother, who still lived in Hawkinsville at the time Tara was doing all this, she was suffering some kind of illness. Yeah. But Tara was very close to her sister Anita and her sister's husband Larry. And she was very close to her father Bill and her stepmother Connie. But Tara, she was from Hawkinsville, but she lived and worked in Ocilla. Well, this town of Ocilla is about 3,000 people.
Not very big.
According to the 2023 census.
I think, what is it, like 2.5 square miles or something like that? It's not very big at all.
With 2 stoplights.
Right.
And it's about an hour or an hour's drive from her hometown of Hawkinsville. So she was still close to family and friends and all that stuff. But she was living in Ocilla because that's where she had taken a job as a high school teacher.
Yeah, I think she really loved the town too.
Yeah. But like you said, she'd used this money for her pageants to further her education.
Correct.
Yeah, she went on to earn a master's degree from Valdosta University, and then she moved to Ocilla to take that teaching job. And she just fell in love with it there, and she was teaching 11th grade history at Irwin County High School. And she had taught there for about 8 years, and by all accounts, man, she was just loved by her students.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In addition to doing all this teaching stuff, she was attending night school 4 nights a week to get her PhD in history and administration.
Yeah, she had goals, man.
Yeah, she was wanting to do stuff.
Right.
And her goal was to become principal or a college professor. That was her ultimate goal. But Tara loved being an educator, and she was well known to go above and beyond her teaching just to help students, and on occasion she would pay for prom dresses or yearbooks for some students who couldn't afford these things.
Right. Yeah, there's even one time when they said that one of her students and their family had their house burnt down, and she let them live with her for a little while just till they get their stuff, get back on their feet. And so it's just that kind of person,
How many people do you know would let come into their home after their house is burned down?
Right. A whole family.
A whole family, yeah.
Come on in.
That's that's remarkable, man. Yeah. And Tara, in addition to teaching, she was also had a supplemental job at a makeup counter in a local department store there in Ocilla.
How does she have time for all this?
And in addition to doing all that, man, she volunteered on the pageant circuit with beauty pageants and at homecoming to help students and their friends get ready for competitions or dances by doing their hair and makeup.
Right, and helping them with everything.
Yeah, so she had everything going on. I don't see how she had time for anything.
I barely have time to go to work and do the show and go to bed.
That's me. But she was living there in Ocilla, Georgia, and she was renting a home on Park Street, and her address was 300 West Park Street there in Ocilla. And Dale, she had a dog named
Dolly
Madison, and a cat named Herman Talmadge. Yeah, pretty cool names.
Yeah.
And doing a little research, the cat, his name was Herman Talmadge. He was named after a Georgia senator who had been involved in some kind of financial scandal back in the 70s. Yeah, so she named the cat after this senator who'd done some bad things there in Georgia.
Well, Dolly Madison was the wife of James Madison, who was the 4th president. So she had some politically named pets.
Well, she was teaching history too, so I guess that was part of her thing.
Yeah.
But Tara, she was really close to her neighbors, and she enjoyed gardening, and she also attended church regularly. And she was incredibly social, but she didn't drink at all. She would just, I guess, go to parties, but she didn't drink alcohol.
Just go hang out.
Yeah, that's right. And in addition to doing all this, man, she even took self-defense classes.
Good Lord.
So I don't see how she had time for anything,
Yeah,
man.
me neither.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So we're moving up to Saturday, October the 22nd of 2005.
All right.
And on this day, this was Saturday, and Tara had some students over to her house.
Right.
And she was going to help them get ready for this pageant that was going on. This was the sweet potato pageant.
Big deal there in Ocilla.
Oh, yeah. And this was taking place in Fitzgerald, Georgia, which is just a nearby town.
And was this pageant for younger kids, or do we know?
We don't know.
Okay.
It
sounds like it would be, but I don't know.
From the research I've done, it looked like they were maybe middle school, high school kids, girls doing this pageant. So
maybe, if it's a big, like a festival or something, they might have had different age groups too.
Very true.
Go ahead.
But she was helping these girls get ready for this pageant. And at around 3 p.m. that afternoon, according to one of the students who was there, her name was Dana Wilder, Tara was in a great mood. There was nothing about her behavior that seemed odd or different. And then later, Tara attended the pageant, and after going to this pageant that evening, Tara stopped by a neighbor's house to visit for about a half hour. And this neighbor has not been released. Their name hadn't been released at all. And then at around 8 p.m., she went to a cookout at the home of the former school superintendent. And this guy's name was Dr. Troy Davis and his wife, Missy.
Yeah, they were having a party.
Yeah, party, cookout. Some people call it a barbecue, but it was a cookout.
Yeah, not around here, you don't.
Yep.
Barbecue is cooked pork.
But yeah, this get-together was evening to watch the Georgia Bulldogs play that night. Yeah, that's what they were going to do.
Big deal, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the friends there of Tara, her name was Maria Hewitt. She confirmed to say that not only did they watch the game, but they did eat and had a good evening that evening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of having a cookout.
Yeah, and she even later told police that Tara had received several phone calls that night at the party, which was kind of odd. I don't know what was going on with that.
Well, I don't know if it's odd. Maybe. I mean, everybody gets phone calls.
Yeah, but the party went up to about 11 o'clock. At least that's when Tara left the party.
Correct.
11 p.m. And this when Dr. Davis, he walked Tara to the door, and she was about to leave. Yep.
So she told him he's just going home.
Yeah. And she even stated that she was going to watch a videotape from the pageant earlier that day.
So she went to the thing and she's going to watch a video?
Yeah, she's going to watch a tape pageant from that day. But right here, Tara leaving that party is the last known sighting of her.
So what happens next?
Well, Tara, like we talked about, she was really close with her neighbors and all them. And specifically, two older couple, their names were Myrtle and Joe Portier.
Portier?
Yeah. And so much so, her being friendly with them and everything, she actually gave them a key to her house. So they would look in on Tara, check on her, and all that stuff. And they even had a system where Tara would get home. She would go and turn her lamp on in her bedroom, and they could see that lamp come on and know that she'd gotten home safely.
That's weird.
That is weird.
Very weird.
But that's been reported that way, and the Portiers even reported that.
So this old guy's just sitting in his house watching out the window.
That was the first thing I thought of when...
old creepy Portier over here.
Yeah, reading that and stuff. But they had this little system where, Tara lived alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a single woman living alone. She was in her 30s.
Hell, I mean, if he's right next door looking out the window, you can't see the car pull up. I mean, you just got to go peep out and see if that lamp's on.
That was weird.
It's weird.
But that was a system they had.
I get it, but, well, according to him anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
But we got to keep in mind, too, that Tara's family, they lived an hour away in Hawkinsville.
True.
So I guess she sort of trusted this older couple to, look after her and look after the place when she wasn't there and doing things and when she was at work and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they would notice this lamp come on. But this particular weekend, the Portiers, they were out of town. They had a house somewhere else that they would go visit on the weekends and stay. But then they would come back during the week, as what has been reported.
So it probably wasn't going every weekend, just like a vacation house or something.
But they were going this particular weekend.
Correct, dude.
So we're moving up to Sunday, October the 23rd, 2005. And this is around midnight. And Tara's mother called the next door neighbors, the Portiers, at their home. This was roughly about 24 hours after the last sighting of Tara.
Okay.
And her mother told the Portiers that she was unable to reach her. And asked them if they had seen her that day or anything out of sorts around the house. But they did notice that Tara's car was under the carport. And Dale, her car was a pearl-colored Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Yeah. And it was sitting there in the carport.
Just like it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Wonder if her lamp was on.
Don't know.
Okay.
But they didn't see any sign of Tara at all.
Okay. So no movement, but the car's home.
Yeah, and Joe even walked over to the house and knocked on the door, and there was no answer at the door. And he knocked several more times, and he checked around the house and didn't see anything.
Now, next morning, Joe, after he walked around the house, didn't see nothing. He had called, because it seemed, her car was still there. So he called the high school and see if they knew anything, and they said, actually, she didn't even come into work this morning, which is really extremely rare from her, not coming or even calling in.
She would either She wasn't going to be there. She was going to call and let somebody know.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, get a sub or whatever she needed to do.
Right, extremely, extremely rare.
Yes.
So this is when Joe decided to use his key to go open the door and see what's going on.
Yeah, he went in the house and looked around, and nothing seemed out of sorts. Everything seemed to be...
Well, she wasn't there anyway.
Yeah, and Tara was pretty particular about her house. She kept everything neat and orderly.
Right. Now, there was a little bit of stuff out of sorts, as you say.
Yeah.
He went in and that bedroom lamp looked like it was broken but propped up into two pieces.
Yeah.
And another weird thing was her alarm clock was actually lying on the floor. And depending on what source you used, it was either under the bed or on the floor near the bed. But the time was actually like 6 hours off.
Yes.
Which is weird.
We don't know if it's 6 hours ahead or 6 hours behind. It
Correct.
hadn't been reported.
So it would sound like it either had been unplugged and then plugged back in 6 hours later or something weird. But the time was off, however that happened.
And Tara's cell phone was there in the house, and it was plugged in the charger.
Yeah, like it was, she had came home that night and plugged it up and laid it on the table or whatever, like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they also found a broken necklace that Tara had been wearing that night.
Yeah, and said the bed was unmade, which was kind of odd. One of her friends said, that was always made. So it was kind of like she came home and went to bed and then disappeared, is what it kind of looked like.
That's what it seemed like, yeah.
Except for the alarm clock and the lamp. It looked very odd.
Mm-hmm. So this is when Joe Portier, he was on the Ocilla City Council. He was a councilman. And he had the police chief's phone number at his disposal.
Right.
And he decided to call the chief. And his name was Billy Hancock.
Correct. So he just called him direct instead of calling into the station, right?
Thought he could get more attention quicker.
Right.
And he told him that he had spoken to Tara's mom and to her work there at the school, and no one had seen or heard from her.
Since Saturday night.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Tara's car was parked at her house, and her cell phone was inside the house, and Tara was nowhere to be found.
So what, he wanted him to come and check it out?
Yeah, that's right. So Joe believes something could have happened to her, or she went missing or something.
Something's going on, yeah, for sure.
So there was a missing persons report that was filed at around 8:50 a.m. on that Monday morning. And the police arrived at the scene at Tara's home by 11 a.m. And the police, they even called in the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. So I guess they knew this was probably over their head.
Yeah, I'm sure they got there and looked around first before they called them. I mean, they just didn't call them to meet us there,
Yeah.
I'm sure they went in and like, ooh, what's going on? Some stuff's odd, but we need somebody to look at this and knows what they're looking at.
Yep.
Yeah.
They noticed a few things right away that found by Joe to be, there were no signs of forced entry.
Correct.
And Tara's cell phone was there, but her purse and her keys were nowhere to be found.
Right, they were missing.
Yes. And there were some conflicting reports about Tara's cars, whether it was locked or unlocked at the time that the authorities found it. But Tara's sister, Anita, said the vehicle, she always kept it locked when she wasn't in it.
She said it was really weird. If indeed it was unlocked, it was really weird because she always locked her car.
Mm-hmm. But when they got in the car and looked, they noticed that the driver's seat was pushed all the way back.
Which is odd.
Yeah.
Because Tara's very short.
She's like 5'3".
Right.
Yeah. So that was very odd.
Yeah. As being a 6'3" guy, I know you got to slide that seat back.
You got to go all the way back.
But for short folks, it's kind of like jumping in the car with my wife. You're going to be crumpled because she's short too.
And also there in the car, there was an envelope with $100 cash.
Ooh, that's odd.
It was either reported on the dashboard or on the console of the car.
Which would be really weird. I mean, console would be a little more believable for a place to leave it, but why would you leave it up on the dash?
Yeah, that is weird.
Especially if it's $100 cash.
But it was reported both ways.
Okay.
But anyway, they found $100 cash in the car.
Correct, okay.
Which is odd.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if the keys are gone. I mean, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, they also noticed on the car there was a little bit of mud or clay up on the wheels and the wheel wells. Like the car had been driven off-road or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know where she parked when she went to this cookout, so, I mean, that might have something to do with it. But anyway.
It could have.
Could have. We don't know.
Yeah, or that pageant, had people park in the grass at the pageant or something.
Never know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Especially in a small town, I'm sure they don't have giant parking lots everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Like around here.
But they did also notice that Tara's dog, Dolly, was out and still hanging around the house.
Oh, it was out of the house?
Yeah, it was out of the house. Yeah. Which was odd.
Very.
Yeah. But the dog and cat were found and they were safe.
Okay.
But there wasn't any reported where the cat would have been. I would say probably in the house.
Stayed in the house. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Now, also, Dale, they noticed another strange thing there at the house. There was a business card found tucked into Tara's front door with the name Heath Dykes on the card. Now, Heath Dykes is a police officer, and they were quick to say that they didn't suspect foul play or anything like that.
It's kind of odd, though, isn't it?
It is odd. That
was this thing in there when Portier went there, or is it?
He probably went in the back door, I would say, or the side door. But this business card was tucked in the front door.
So I wonder if it was like a storm door or something, like the glass door. You open that part and stick
Just sort of stick it in and lodge it.
Right, just say I've been by or something.
Yeah, probably.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah. But Tara's sister, she even said that Tara would have made her bed in a particular way.
Right.
And it didn't look like it had been made, or somebody else had made it up, or it wouldn't have been the way Tara would have done it.
Right. Well, the pictures, that you see, it kind of looks like somebody would either gone to bed or started to go to bed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't made.
And her clothes that she had on that day that she went to the pageant and the cookout were on the floor.
Right.
Yeah. Which was odd.
Well, they say it's odd, but to me, I don't know. I don't know what happened. But so far, what I'm thinking is maybe she came home from this thing. It was late. I mean, she had to be wore out. She was going nonstop with this pageant stuff, and then here and by the neighbors to go there and over to the cookout and doing all that, and then come home, was going to watch that video. So she probably came home, took her clothes off, either jumped in the shower or whatever, started to lay in bed, watch this video or whatever, and then something happened.
Well, they did say too that there were a pair of sweatpants and a T-shirt that believed Tara would have worn to bed or slept in that weren't there.
Right. So something, I think, in mid, with trying to go to bed, something happened here. Because oh wait, don't do nothing to me. I got to put my clothes up.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that's what I'm thinking.
But her sister Anita later went on to tell Fox News and CBS, she was trying to bring some attention to her sister's disappearance. She was saying that Tara would have came home from the barbecue and possibly let her dog out, changed her clothes, and like you said, took a shower and got more comfortable.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the hoop earrings that she was wearing to this party and this pageant that she went to that day, they weren't found. But the necklace that she was wearing was found. It was broken.
Right. I'm thinking there's probably some of the people were thinking that maybe she just left and, she was, old enough to go somewhere she wanted to go and not tell nobody, but she definitely wouldn't have left like this and leave her phone there and her pets alone, by themselves for a long period of time. So I think something definitely has went down here.
Yes.
I don't think she left on her own. I mean, what she do, walk? She got a car outside.
Yeah, she got a car right there.
Her purse and keys are gone, which is weird, but anyway.
So Tara's missing. They can't find her anywhere.
Correct.
And they start looking at some people who are close to her.
Yep.
Now, Tara had been involved with a guy.
He was.
She had been involved in a very long-term relationship with a guy named Marcus Harper.
Marcus Harper.
Now, they'd been close for a while, but they had some problems with their relationship. Marcus, he was a police officer, and at some point, he went to Iraq.
Well, after 9/11, he joined the military.
He did.
Yeah.
And he stayed over in Iraq and became a contractor over there doing different things.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. I think she wanted to get married and be the hometown or the small town family, this, and I don't think he was wanting to do that. I think he had in his opinion, a bigger calling to go do
other things.
This protection kind of thing when you join the military and do that kind of stuff.
But we got to keep in mind, too, that Tara was 30 years old.
Correct.
And she was wanting to get married and have a family.
Yes.
Yeah. And like I said, Marcus Harper, he wasn't wanting this at all.
No.
And they would break up some, and they would get back together, break up, and get back together, and they even seen other people for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Like she was trying to move past, but it just wasn't working. She was hung up on this guy pretty bad.
She was.
Yeah.
And the 48 Hours did an episode of this, and you brought this up, that Tara was way out of his league.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Because when we first started researching this, and I'm trying to picture folks in my head, when you first listen to stuff, and I hadn't seen any photos of the guy. Don't get me bad, he's not like a trashy looking guy or nothing, but it was definitely not what I had pictured in my mind.
Yeah. Tara's this beauty queen.
Right.
This beautiful woman. I pictured him as this chiseled guy with like you talked about, square jaw.
Big square jaw military guy.
Yeah.
Kind of like Reacher or something,
Yeah.
But yeah.
A Ken doll kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, but no, he's not that at all.
No.
You look at him, yeah, Tara was way out of his league. Yeah, he should have He should have held on to that.
Well, he did. I don't think he wanted to. He wasn't a settle it down kind of guy.
Yeah. She was so into this guy. At one point, Dale, they had broken up.
Yeah, pretty bad breakup.
And she was so distraught over this, she actually had to pull over on the side of the road and have somebody come and get her.
Yeah, she was all the heck.
Yeah. Said she was in a fragile emotional state.
Yeah,
after this breakup.
That's rough right now.
Yeah, I mean, she had it for this guy, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was bad. She even called in sick the next day to work.
She did.
Yeah. I'm like, so, dang, dude.
Yeah.
But, she had a lot on her, too, at the same time, working both them jobs and doing all that stuff, and then trying to juggle this relationship circus that they got going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's emotionally challenging.
But Tara, at this time, Dale, she was just weeks away from graduating with a graduate degree.
Mm-hmm.
And she would also get a raise up to about $10,000 a year on her salary.
That's a nice one.
So she wouldn't just walk out and leave.
No, I don't think nobody's believing this. She just left.
Mm-mm. So they're thinking that maybe Tara had been abducted or had voluntarily took off with somebody she knew. And they were searching this Ocilla area. This area they were searching was about 358 square miles there in Irwin County, looking for any signs of Tara or clues of where she might have been. GBI, they brought in ATVs, helicopters, and underwater scanning equipment the week after her disappearance, trying to find anything. Now, Dale, there was a week after the disappearance of Tara. There's going to be a little bit of a bombshell in this case. The news, they dropped this story about the neighbor Joe Portier saying that he had found a latex glove in Tara's front yard on the day he went over to check on her. Yeah.
And it was kind of wild because they kind of kept this under wraps. Now, it has been reported that it kind of got out into town that they found this, because I think they were trying to keep this particular clue under wraps.
Yeah.
But I also saw that everybody found out about this when 48 Hours came out. That's where everybody found out. So we don't know. I mean, maybe local people knew about it or something, or a few folks, but they're saying they tried to keep it under wraps. But he found it, and then it kind of got out to the community, and then other sources say that nobody knew about it until 48 Hours reported it.
Yes.
So whichever way.
Yeah, I guess Ocilla being a small town,
it'd be hard to keep it under if you told anybody.
Yeah. Even Joe Portier, he was on Nancy Grace, and he said the glove was a type that was used in a medical setting or something like that. And it wouldn't be the type of glove that would be used like for dishwashing or gardening or anything like that. It was, it
was like a white clear glove.
And this was just like a stone's throw from the front porch, just like 8 or 10 feet.
Yeah.
Right off the front porch.
Yeah, kind of like the walkway. It had some of those stepping stones, and it was just kind of over near a flower bed.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely could have been on the path out of the house.
Could have been. So they're thinking somebody was wearing it when they maybe come and got Tara, or wearing it when they were cleaning up or something. Right. That's what they were thinking.
Yeah, something's going on. I mean, at first they thought maybe law enforcement may have dropped it, or EMT may have dropped it, or whatever. But I don't know why. I mean, EMT wouldn't have been called, so that wouldn't be one of theirs.
Yeah, because law enforcement, they would know the brand they use.
Brand,
yeah, I'm sure they would know what they used.
Yeah, and professionals have said, usually it's pretty rare for law enforcement to leave a glove or anything laying around. He said, but EMT people, are different. They'll leave stuff laying around, but their job is a big difference. They are there to hurry up and help somebody, not worry about crime scene.
But they were saying that Tara's seat in her car being pushed back was a big red flag.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And they were saying that Tara had been a victim of maybe a random attack by a stranger, and that she was possibly dead. They didn't know. But Tara's family persisted, and they manned the Tara Command Center, and they were pushing the Ocilla PD and the GBI for more searches. And they were out there passing out buttons and pictures with Tara's picture on them.
So they're taking it in their own hands.
They really are. And they even went so far as to decorate Tara's house for Halloween that was coming up. Yeah, just to make it look like she lived there.
So just in case you come back, it'd be ready.
And even birthday banners for her 31st birthday.
Man.
So yeah, they were going all out to make sure, anything happened.
And they definitely weren't giving up here.
No, they weren't. Yeah. But there were no signs of Tara at all. And there was also a reward that was come out, and Tara's case had jumped this reward up to $200,000. And a portion of this money was money that was donated anonymously. And then in January of 2006, with Tara been missing for about 3 months, her family helped organize a large-scale search conducted by the Texas EquiSearch and 150 volunteers. And the focus of the ground search in Irwin and surrounding counties was the hundreds of wells that was around this area. There was a lot of, I guess, abandoned wells or open
water wells.
Water wells, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were searching these wells and the marshy creek sides and the countryside. And they were using boats to access these areas and even swamps. But there was a friend of Tara's. Her name was Wendy McFarland. She said that on one hand, you pray to God you find Tara, and on the other hand, you pray to God you don't.
Yeah, I get that, man. You want to find her, but you don't want to find her that way.
Yeah.
Basically.
So in February of 2006, the Ocilla police told the Atlantic Journal, Constitution, that it does seem to be the kind of overwhelming and baffling case that we've had missing persons before. But usually those turn up in a few days, usually juveniles or young kids who come back to their home.
Right.
But nevertheless, the GBI claimed that Tara Grinstead's case was still very active investigation, with active leads being pursued, and Tara's family was increasingly frustrated by the lack of progress in her case, man.
Well, I'm sure there's probably a lot more going on than they knew or that they will tell them. So it seems like nothing's going on, but I'm sure they hadn't stopped looking.
Yeah, but this boyfriend of Tara's, he even submitted to a polygraph. He come in and took his own. His lawyer had him take a polygraph test.
Right. Well, he agreed to do it, but he had his own done. But I read later that the reason he got his own done is his lawyer was not able to be with him on the day that they scheduled for him to come. So he hired a private guy to do it himself.
Yes.
But he did pass.
He did, yeah.
Well, I mean, and I'm sure it's frustrating for law enforcement because even though it's a very, very small town, there's lots of different angles of people who she came in contact with, man, between all the students in the school and the parents from schools and the pageants, and because she's so outgoing, I mean, she come into contact with so many people.
She had a big circle.
Exactly.
Yes.
It wasn't just a few people. It's not like she was a homebody, never went out. She was always doing something. You can tell by her schedule. I mean, she was always out and going.
Yeah, so the GBI and the local law enforcement, they were talking to everybody.
Yeah.
Trying to find out anybody that knew something could happen to her.
I mean, they talked to everybody in town. Wasn't 5,000 people. I mean,
yeah, actually 3,000.
Oh yeah, 3,000.
Yeah, so this was I'm sure they probably had to talk to everybody.
Probably did.
Yeah. Now they did discover there were some eyewitnesses reported a black pickup truck.
Yeah.
Likely a Chevy parked outside of Tara's home at around 5 a.m. on the Sunday morning, October 23rd.
Right, and some of the people were upset because they seemed like the sheriff's department had not told the GBI about this report.
They weren't communicating back and forth.
Didn't seem like it.
No,
yeah, which is odd, especially since they called them in, And that seems like a pretty important piece of information to me.
Yeah, you think.
I mean, she's last seen on Saturday night, and there's possibly a black pickup truck sitting in front of her house that early Sunday morning. I mean, early, 5 o'clock in the morning. Sun don't come up to 6, so they're in the dark doing something.
So you think they could be running reports on black Chevy pickup trucks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch, but I mean, heck, it can't be more than 3,000 if everybody had one.
No, you think? But Tara's sister is also going and stating in interviews that the family believes that whoever was responsible for Tara's disappearance probably returned the following day or at some point to some kind of cleanup at the scene to try to take care of whatever evidence that was left. Maybe because of that latex glove that was dropped. So the abductor or abductors would return to the home, and at some point, they would drop it.
To me, it sounds like they would have done that all at one time.
Why would you go back?
Right, that don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe because she's thinking nobody saw the glove till later.
That's what she's thinking.
But, maybe that's a big part of it, maybe not. I mean, it's laying there, but it's not, I don't know. I guess it is obvious, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when they find the glove, but to me, them overlooking gloves sounds more something that would happen besides somebody coming and do something and then going back the next day to tidy up.
Yeah.
That's taking too big of a chance to me.
But they did find DNA on the glove.
They did.
Yes. And nearly 150 people connected to Tara had been swabbed in a search for a match to the DNA.
Yeah, they found Tara's and an unknown white male DNA.
Yeah.
And according to 48 Hours, there was a third, but it was just a very small
portion of DNA.
Yeah.
Really couldn't narrow it down much. But there was a GBI agent, special agent. His name was Gary Rothwell, and he revealed on CBS's 48 Hours that the DNA sample was found on the latex glove, and the sample belonged to a male, like we talked about.
Yep.
And he even stated that at some point it's reported that the DNA belonged to an unknown white male, but no match to anyone who knew Tara had been made at this point, and the sample received no hits from the Georgia or the national DNA databases. All right, Dale. You know, the police, they're questioning everybody. They're collecting DNA, and they're doing everything they can to find out what happened to Tara.
Correct.
So in the meantime, they're doing all this. They're pursuing some different avenues in the investigation. Almost immediately after her disappearance, you know, they started talking to her ex-boyfriend, the Marcus Harper.
Yeah.
And they started talking to this Heath Dykes, the one they found the business card in the that was lodged there in the front door.
The police officer.
Yes.
Yes.
And they were talking to some other people, too. They were talking to a guy by the name of Rhett Roberts.
Rhett Roberts.
Now, this guy is the son of the couple who rented the house to Tara.
Okay.
And he was saying that they had briefly dated following her breakup with this Marcus Harper.
So he was a rebound guy?
That's what they're saying. And they also quizzed an Anthony Vickers, who was 20 years old, and he was a former student of Tara's.
Okay.
Who had, by all accounts, developed an unhealthy attachment to Tara.
Well,
he
I
was
could see
fascinated with her. Yeah, she was very beautiful.
Right.
And was once arrested. This Anthony Vickers was once arrested on a disorderly person's charge.
Yeah, he was coming, he was beating on her door and beating on the windows and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And wouldn't leave or something.
Yeah, he was beating on the door and beating on the windows. And at the time he was doing this, there was another man at her house, and this was that Heath Dykes. He was over at the house that day.
Now he was a married police captain, I think?
Yeah, Heath Dykes was married.
Yes.
But he was over there.
Right.
And supposedly a friend of the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
And all these men, they cooperated with the police. Well, at least two of them agreed to submit to a polygraph test.
Right, like we already said, Harper had done his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing in the interviews authorities have said provided them with any information to suggest that Tara had been the victim of foul play. Yeah.
Okay.
But almost as soon as the investigation began, so did the steady rumor mill and innuendos.
Well, it's easy for it to turn dark there, too, because everybody knows everybody. And everybody knows everybody's business.
That's right.
So it's, stuff's going to get around quick. If they're talking to so-and-so and so-and-so about being with her, I mean, rumors are going to start flying.
Yeah, there was one day when Marcus Harper, he showed up at the police station. Tara's sister, Anita, actually met him outside the door. Yeah. And she confronted him, and she reported saying, "What did you do to my sister?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they were pointing fingers at him.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Tara's sister, Anita, wasn't the only one to suspect this Marcus Harper.
Right.
There was a website established to aid in search of Tara, and people were putting a lot of speculation about what could have happened to Tara, and much of the discussion focused on Marcus Harper, though authorities had never publicly named him.
Yeah, well, he's right in the middle of this.
Well, he's the ex-boyfriend.
Been together on again, off again with volatile breakups and stuff. So, I can see that.
And he was saying too that there was at one point they had broken up, and Tara came over to his house, and she had threatened to kill herself if he didn't get back with her.
Yeah, or if she ever saw him with another woman.
Yeah.
So she was kind of flaking out a little bit herself.
Yes, she was. And as the national media attention grew, so too did the suspicion. The Greta Van Susteren Fox News channel.
Yeah.
And they arrived on the scene, and in the hours before they went on air, there was a promotional spot announced that she would explore a report that Marcus Harper and Tara had been arguing in the days before her disappearance. And according to sources close to Marcus Harper, that was untrue.
Well, there was stuff, because he had been, like you said, overseas, And, they'd still been in contact even though when they were broken up. And when he had came back to town this one particular time, he didn't let her know, but it's such a small town, they had run into each other. And I think that's when this so-called argument may have happened.
Yeah, they were broken up, and he didn't tell her he was back.
Right.
Which I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, if you're going out as much as she's out, and if he's out doing anything, there's a good chance they're going to run into each other somewhere. But, who knows?
But, Dale, in the meantime, authorities say they remain open to any possible explanations for Tara's disappearance. And while they acknowledge that it is plausible that she might have been abducted or, the worst case scenario, even killed,
right,
there is a possibility that she could no longer stand the stress of her life and the cruelty of her study schedule and all her demanding things she was involved in.
So they're thinking maybe she killed herself.
That's what they're thinking.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
But friends among them, some who knew Tara, they even said that it's possible that she might have run away in a fit of, despondency.
Yeah, she's going to grab her pocketbook and her keys and leave her dog and cat there and run right past her car and out in the yard and what?
Yeah.
So I ain't buying this.
Yeah, anybody that has a dog, you're not going to leave a dog alone.
Right. Now, her family is like me. They refuse to believe any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think none of that.
And they insist that suicide is not something that Tara would have considered, and note that despite all the emotional hardships that she had the last time anyone saw her, just hours before she vanished,
right,
it seemed like she was content. She went to this beauty pageant, she had went to that cookout.
Yeah, and they're thinking in their minds, whatever happened to her, it was definitely against her will. So something definitely happened here.
That's right. But there's some people claiming that this Heath Dykes could have been romantically involved with Tara.
Yeah, sure.
That's what they're claiming. But I don't know about the student, the former student of hers.
Right.
Here's what he said. They had a romantic relationship, but
did they?
I don't know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But did they really? You don't know.
We don't know. So nothing happens for quite a while, Dale. Then in February of 2009, there were some videos that surfaced on the internet featuring a self-proclaimed serial killer.
Right.
And he dubbed himself the Catch Me Killer.
Yes.
And the man in the video details what he claimed to be his 16 female victims.
Right.
And one of these women was determined by authorities to be Tara Grinstead.
Correct.
Although the man's face and voice were like digitally altered and obscured, police eventually determined the video creator to be 27-year-old Andrew Haley.
Yes.
And a police investigation revealed the videos to be part of a bizarre, elaborate hoax. And this Andrew Haley was ultimately eliminated as a substantial lead in Tara's disappearance.
Yeah, so they got a big thing here, and they thought they were onto something, and then they used the IP address and finally found this guy, and then realized that he was just full of it the whole time. So they wasted a lot of time and a lot of manpower right here trying to track this guy down.
Yes.
And I think he did eventually get sentenced to something, but it wasn't a lot.
It wasn't for that anything with that related.
Oh yeah, no, it was just because of what he did, lying and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think he got some time for that. Now, years after nothing's going on, there was a place where this person was at that heard a couple of guys talking at a party, and she had overheard what she said. It was like two guys at a party bragging about their involvement in Tara's disappearance, and that ultimately they had taken her body out to a pecan orchard and burned it in a fire pit.
Yeah, over 2 days.
Yeah, so this and the names come up. That was a Bo Dukes with a S, Bo Dukes, and a Ryan Duke.
Yeah, their names sound similar, but they're not related.
Correct.
Bo Dukes with an S and Ryan Duke. Yeah, they were both 21-year-old.
Right.
And Ryan worked at a plastic manufacturing plant, while Bo would occasionally work at his family's pecan farm, like we talked about.
Right.
And both had been students at Tara's high school that she taught at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a slight connection.
Yeah, it's a very good connection. But sometime later, there was a lady that came forward. Her name was Brooke Sheridan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, this tip that they gave here, it just went kind of like they were overlooked. It was like nobody even checked it out.
I know.
So it was kind of odd. So then, how many years later was when this lady come forward?
2017, 11 years after Tara vanished, this Brooke Sheridan came forward with a potential answer. She was saying that she was dating a guy named Bo Dukes that we talked about. And they met on Tinder.
Okay.
And he came to her one day all distraught and just said that he had something he had to tell her.
Yeah, she said that, he kind of always looked like he had something on his mind and he didn't want to talk, blah, blah. And finally she kept pushing to him, and I think finally he decided it was time to open up to her.
Yeah. And he told her that he'd killed Tara Grinstead. Yeah, that's what he had told her. And this Brooke Sheridan, she didn't know how to deal with it. She went to the authorities.
Yeah, she's like, oh, whoa. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to do something about this.
Right.
Yeah, so she went to the authorities and told them.
Yes. Now, this Bo guy was known in the community for being like a little over-the-top, unfiltered guy, showing off and running his mouth. And he'd gotten in trouble while he was in the Army. And in 2012, he was charged and convicted of stealing more than $150,000 worth of military supplies and spent 2 years in federal prison. And then Bo had confessed all this to Brooke as well. Yeah,
but this Bo and Ryan, last names similar but not the same, they were actually roommates at one time.
Yes.
And this was back in 2005.
Right.
Yeah.
But that didn't last long. They moved in together, but then one or the other, I'm not sure which one it was didn't want to contribute financially nor do any cleaning or anything, so that didn't last very long.
But this Brooke Sheridan, she told in an interview that Ryan had used a credit card to access the door of Tara's house, gaining entry. Yeah, to be able to get into her house. And that Tara's keys and purse were thrown in a dumpster.
When he finally opened up to Brooke, he said that his former roommate Ryan was the one who had killed her.
But Bo Dukes is stating that Ryan Duke did this by himself, and I helped him after the fact, saying that he helped get rid of the body.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he came to him and asked him if he needed some help. He needed him to help him burn her. He needed help to burn her body.
And then he stated too that on October the 22nd of 2005, Ryan Duke actually intended just to break into Tara's home and steal some things.
Mm-hmm.
But Tara came in while he was there.
Yeah, well, she was home.
Yes.
Yeah. Jumped on him and then he killed her by accident, was his story.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
But things get a little fishy after this because they kind of turn on each other.
Well, you don't know who to believe.
Right. But he also said that when he took him to show him where the body was, because he said he had told him 2 or 3 times and he didn't believe him. And then he said he wanted to take him to show where he had put the body, and he had taken it to the other guy's family's land.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird to me. Why would you take it to... I mean, I know it was a remote part of this big... I mean, this is a giant pecan orchard,
Yes.
And he said he had taken it and hid it on his family's land, which is weird. Why would he do that?
I don't know.
So that's kind of odd. But they did have a big burn pit back there, and they went back there and they took his truck and they filled up the truck with wood, and then burned this big fire. It took 2 days to burn it up.
Yeah, which Tara was a small lady, 5'3",
yeah,
probably weighed maybe 110 pounds at most.
At the most, yeah.
Yeah, so it probably wouldn't take long to dispose of her body, but still, there was some reports from the pecan farm. They said they had saw a fire.
Yeah.
Of this night, and they just thought it was just some kind of bonfire. They didn't think much about it.
Right, which I'm assuming by that's probably not a really weird occurrence to have this big bonfire, because they especially already had a big burn pit out in the middle of it. That's probably a party place, I would assume.
Yeah. So they take these boys in,
mm-hmm.
and the police clearly believe that Ryan is the main culprit.
Yes.
Yes, that's what they're thinking.
Because that's what Bo's telling them.
Yes.
Even though the stuff happened on Bo's family's land.
No, that's right.
Which is odd to me. And they did go out and check this fire pit, and they did find a few bone fragments, but nothing they could really tell to who.
I think they found a tooth, but it was so far.
A tooth and a bone finger and a piece of cranium, I think, but nothing they could. It was so damaged they couldn't really match it to anyone.
Get anything from it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these two guys, they're eventually trying to throw each other under the bus.
Yes, for sure.
But in August of 2017, there was a grand jury. They filed 4 new charges against these two guys, and 2 counts of making false statements, and 1 count of hindering apprehension of a criminal, and 1 count of concealing the death of another.
Right.
And these additional charges are based on a Wilcox County indictment stating that Bo Dukes had lied to the GBI official who had questioned him in 2016 concerning Tara's disappearance. So after these 2 guys were arrested, Ryan Duke and Bo Dukes, the Irwin County judge, her name was Melanie Cross, issued a gag order prohibiting anyone involved with the case from talking about it in order to protect these 2 guys' rights to a fair trial. But the Georgia television stations, they challenged the court order, and the Judge Cross relaxed some of this gag order, but still restricted public comment by anyone working with the prosecution or defense. So the trial of these guys, the Bo Dukes, it began on March 19th of 2019, Dale. Okay. And he was found guilty for his role in covering up the murder and was sentenced to 25 years in prison on March the 22nd of 2019. Now,
yeah, I think he was hoping for to get a little leniency since he went in to talk to him. You know, he thought maybe he could get the 10 years or something like that, but no, they gave him the full 25.
Yeah, they did. But Ryan Duke, his murder trial was set for April 1st, 2019.
Right.
But the Georgia Supreme Court delayed the trial on March the 28th of 2019 after his lawyers contended that they were unconstitutionally denied funds for the experts to testify on his behalf. So the trial began on May 9th of 2022.
So I guess he did that, and then they skipped COVID as well.
Yes, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And at the trial, Ryan Duke pleaded not guilty to murder and blamed Bo Dukes for the killing of Tara Grinstead.
So they're both blaming each other, basically.
They are. And on May the 20th of 2022, Ryan Duke was found not guilty of murder, aggravated assault, and burglary, but guilty of concealing a death.
Yes.
And 3 days later, Ryan Duke was given the maximum sentence of 10 years in prison.
Yeah, he got 10.
So they were found guilty of the same exact thing. But Bo Dukes received 25 years, and Ryan Duke got 10 years.
Yeah, I think the other guy had better lawyers.
I would think so, yeah.
You know, but eventually, you know, when we first started getting, researching this thing, I thought Ryan was the killer, and that's what Bo was telling us. But I think after the trial and everything came out, I'm pretty sure that Bo was the one who killed her.
Yeah.
And Ryan helped her, because Ryan was all to hell after this. He got majorly into drugs and depression. And I think that stuff was just eating him up.
Yeah, because you can see pictures of Ryan when he was young. I mean, he looked like a clean-cut guy.
Yeah, and then when they arrested him,
he looked rough as shit.
Yeah, very, very bad.
Yeah.
So I think he had, I think it was just eating him up.
But this Brooke Sheridan, I mean, she was the one that broke the lid on all this, and hadn't been reported if she ever got the reward money for any information.
Yeah, I don't know. And I know that Bo did, try to say that, well, if it wouldn't be for me, you wouldn't know nothing about this, or you wouldn't know this. And he was trying to play his cards to get a lesser sentence, but he was the one that got to 25. But yeah. I think in the big picture that they did it right. I think he definitely deserved more time. I don't think 25 years is good for murder, but which he didn't get convicted for murder, so they really were blaming each other. But I think the one who deserved the more time got it.
There was never anybody charged for the murder of Tara Grinstead, just concealing her death.
Right, which is sad in a way, but at least they got a little bit of find out what happened to her.
But getting into all this, I actually thought that it was the boyfriend, on and off boyfriend, the Marcus.
The whole time?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was him.
But he had an airtight alibi.
He did.
I mean, he'd went out that night when they had the barbecue. He had actually went out with some of his buddies to a bar to see a band play, and then went back to hang out with the buddies who were actually cops. Went back and then did a ride along the whole night with one of them guys. So the night it happened, he couldn't have been the one to do it.
That's right. But these two guys, the Bo Dukes and the Ryan Duke, I just don't know why they would kill her, why they would get rid of her.
Well, I think he, like you said, the one guy, I think he was, they went to rob her, and when he was in there trying to get stuff out of her house, and apparently they said they didn't know her, but if they were, if they went to the same school, they probably knew who she was. I don't know if they knew who lived at that house, but he went in there to do that, and then while he was trying to do stuff, she either probably jumped him from behind, tried to do something, keep from breaking her or stealing her stuff, and he probably slammed her on the bed and choked her out or whatever happened and killed her. And then, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then first, because it didn't make sense to me, because they were saying, well, it's probably somebody who's on drugs and he's like trying to find money to be on drugs. But if that was the case, why in the hell would the $100 still be in the car?
Yeah, they just overlooked it.
And I don't know, I don't know. And a lot of stuff don't make sense. I mean, why would the seat in the car be moved if the truck was there the next day? I don't know. Did he put her in her own car? I mean, how did he get there to begin with? So a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense to me, and it feels like a lot of holes in the case, or just information we don't have, one or the other.
But it's been reported too, this Ryan Duke, he was some kind of follower. He wasn't a leader in any kind of capacity.
Right.
And the Bo Dukes guy,
I think he was scared of Bo Dukes.
I think he was.
Yeah. He's a big guy. But, and that was another thing that was weird to me. If the purse and the keys were gone, at first you would think, well, hell, they didn't even take her car, but why would the seat be moved?
Yeah.
Unless I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff left
a lot of unknowns in this case.
Correct.
But Tara is gone.
She's gone.
The family did declare her dead.
Yeah.
And have some kind of closure.
Yeah, I guess that's what you want to call it.
It ain't no kind of closure to me, but
right.
And nobody's brought to justice on this.
Correct.
Yeah. But we want to do this case. It's pretty strange, but we want to do it.
Yep.
All right, Dale, we're going to get out of here, man.
All right, let's roll.
We want everyone to be safe. Please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.